Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Vivek Ramaswamy, and I want to talk about what it takes to get about the lessons available in the new Napoleon film for Vivek Ramaswamy. So, that very fascinating film. I did not know much about Napoleon, but I've been researching in order to be ready to view the Napoleon film, and I was shocked at what I found out about Napoleon. So Vivek Ramaswamy is in this incredibly difficult position where he's attempting to win the 2024 U.S. presidential race by garnering votes and garnering goodwill toward himself. And in order to win um, the 2024 U.S. presidential race, you have to understand what the real problems of the U.S. government are, right? And I think that answer exists within Napoleon's history. So, Napoleon, what was really interesting is, so America had its revolution. France got all hopped up and were like, oh, let's have a revolution too. But our revolution was like, hey, we're going to sever our relationship from the British king, right? France was like, we're going to sever our king's head. And they did. And they severed a whole bunch of heads and just straight murdered like a bunch of innocent aristocrats. And their revolution was just complete debacle and completely failed. It's not like the American Revolution was more successful than any revolution in the history of any government, right? But the French Revolution was a absolutely terrible debacle and a complete failure, right? And Napoleon was right in the middle of it, okay? And what he did was he coalesced. So basically, all the French people were like, "We're not gonna we no longer acknowledge the leadership of our king and our queen. We're gonna sever the head of our king, and that's that. And and they killed a whole bunch of aristocrats, right? It gets really interesting here, right? But then what was the problem? What happened? What was the issue that then erupted, right? And the issue that then erupted was that it failed because the rebellion, the rebels, literally just like in Star Wars, the rebels, right? Only these were the good guys, right? The rebels could not determine how to split the property, right? So basically, the property belonged to the king. The king gave it down to vassals, and the vassals shared it with peasants, right? And that was the structure. It was literally a feudal structure, right? And so, but there reached a point where now the rebels have chopped off the head of their king, chopped off, they've chopped off the head of their king, and they've killed literally hundreds of vassals, right? Very, terrible situation, right? The vassal situation. Actually, terrible, really terrible situation, right? So you have this situation where the French now are in control, right? The merchant class, the worker class are now in control, right? Actually, I guess no, that's not really right. It's really vassals and peasants, right? So you had the aristocrats, you had the vassals, and you had the peasants. And at this point, the vassals and the peasants are in control, right? And they don't know how to split up the goods, right? And that's why. And so then Napoleon comes in, excuse me, and coalesces and through strength becomes the primary representation for the rebellion, right? But then he just reinstates the monarchy, right? It was a complete failure at every level. So what this teaches us for Vivek Ramaswamy, is that the most difficult thing he has to do is he has to communicate to the American people that he knows how to split up the goods, right? So in America, the government doesn't just give property down, right, to vassals and peasants. what the U.S. government gives down is the ability to earn, right? First of all, it says no more vassals and peasants. Everybody's equal, right? So Vivek Ramaswamy has to communicate to the American people that he knows how to put everyone on equal footing to earn equally, right? That is important, right? This is where the French failed and America succeeded, right? But there have been very difficult changes in all of that structure, right? To the point where now you're like, I don't know, are we still doing this right? Right? That's challenging. That is very, very challenging. The next thing is for America is we have to have the same ability to earn, right? And we do need to look if at ways, right, that policy, taxation, and direction given by our king, air quotes, right? Now, the president of the United States is actually not president of America. The president of the United States is president of the world. That is not debatable. Like, there's no question, right? Like, anything that, literally some war will break out between two countries and everybody immediately looks right to look at the U.S. president going, hey, what do we two countries that are like thousands of miles away from you are at war. What are you going to do, right? Every war that breaks out, like, people look at the war, at every single problem the world has, people look at America to solve it. So so in addition to that, so he has to be able to look at how property has been distributed and say, okay, we have X, Y, B, Z billionaires. We have hundreds of billionaires in this one attribute, right? If you're a person and you have these two attributes, you're 100 times more likely to be a billionaire than if you're a person with these two attributes. And he has to use mechanisms to make it so that so that more property is earned by people who don't traditionally earn property, right? And he needs to communicate that. He needs to say, hey, where Napoleon's bad French solution was to put the crown on his head, right? My solution is this, and it's a better option. Those are the lessons that I think Vivek Ramaswamy should learn from Napoleon. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.